Theresa May's Brexit backstop plan risks a stalemate and protracted rounds of negotiations with the EU, the full legal advice on her deal says. Newly published documents show the PM was told an arrangement designed to prevent a hard Irish border could last indefinitely and the UK could not lawfully exit without EU agreement. The Democratic Unionists said this would be devastating for the UK. But Mrs May rejected SNP claims she has misled Parliament on the issue. Ministers were forced to publish Attorney General Geoffrey Cox's full advice after ministers were found to be in contempt of Parliament on Tuesday for providing only a legal overview earlier this week. Speaking in the Commons, the Prime Minister said there was no difference between the two documents and the legal position on her proposed temporary customs arrangement with the EU was clear. While the UK would have no unilateral right to withdraw from the backstop, a measure designed to prevent the return of physical checks on the Irish border by the UK and EU sharing a single customs territory, she insisted neither the UK nor the EU wanted it to come into force in the first place. But the Democratic Unionists said the advice was explicit that Northern Ireland would end up subject to different EU regulatory and customs rules from the rest of the UK and be treated as a third country in terms of trade with England, Scotland and Wales. The BBC's political editor Laura Quinsberg said that, amid fears Mrs May was heading for a heavy defeat in next Tuesday's vote on the final deal, there was talk among MPs about a compromise amendment being tabled on the backstop, giving Parliament some kind of check on it coming into force. The government argued that Mr Cox's analysis of the Brexit deal, published on Monday, was adequate and disclosing his full and final advice would be against the national interest. Labour and other opposition parties said ministers had willfully refused to comply with the binding vote in the Commons last month which demanded full disclosure and MPs agreed with this in a vote on Tuesday.